Hi guys, I'm Sparkmaster Neon, and today I'm joined by my friend Zack, and we're going to talk about being an example. Being an example to me is being that beacon of hope, the lightning that beckons the thunder. Just being the example of your standards and expectations that you set last week, so that way others can follow them. Because how can you expect others to follow your standards if you can't follow them yourself? So Zach, what does being an example mean to you?
Being an example to me is setting the right expectations for people so that they can be a good person, so you can be a good person and lead others by your example. By treating others right, by doing what you're supposed to do, just basically being the best version of yourself. And others see that you're the best version of yourself, and that inspires them to be better.
Good, yeah. You know, a time I set an example, and it really was awesome, was in like high school. I was known as like Neon Man, and I wore orange every day in school. And one time somebody walked up, and they were like, I want to say thank you. And I was like, really, what for? And they said, because seeing you come to school in orange every day and not being afraid of what other people thought gave me the courage to be who I wanted to be. And honestly, that meant the world to me. And so, Zach, have you ever set an example that helped someone?
Oh, definitely. And I wanted to comment on yours as well. So sometimes seeing somebody doing something and not caring about what other people are saying about them, or just not caring about the world outside of them, is enough to inspire you to be yourself and embrace embrace yourself being different, or just embrace who you are as a person. Just seeing somebody else being their best self inspires you to be your best self. And I really appreciated that in your story. Mm-hmm. So a time I was an example to somebody is probably like I enjoy where I work. I work at Alamo Draft House, and I have some coworkers there. And sometimes we have some menial jobs to do, like we have some menus we have to cut, or papers we need to sign and stuff like that. And sometimes that can be very time consuming, and it's not the most fun thing in the world to do. So being an example is something that I've done for them, is trying to be not the class clown, but trying to lighten the mood, try and get everybody into a better state of mind while we're doing this thing. And by doing that, it increases everybody's kind of work ethic, and makes everybody a little happier while we're doing what we're doing, and it makes it just a better experience for everybody overall.
Yes, it feels less like work and more like fun.
Exactly. And that's kind of one of my life's goals, is to make life fun for everybody, because I think that's one of the most important things you can do, is have fun in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I like it.
So, the example I try to set with videos. I'm showing you guys how to, fight your insecurities, shine bright, live a phoenix tale, that sort of thing. And in life, I wear my orange, and I try to inspire others to do the same. Just by seeing me in orange, it's like, hey, that guy looks crazy. But what if he's onto something? He doesn't care what everyone's sitting here laughing at him. He doesn't seem to care. It doesn't faze him at all. We should try to be more like that guy. That's the kind of example I try to set every day. So, Zach, what's the ideal example you would try to set every day?
Well, I think it kind of, to piggyback off of what I said earlier, it's to set an example of having fun. Trying not to take life so incredibly seriously all the time. Of course, there are times that call for you to be serious, right? And everybody has those times. But when you can, and when you can afford to be, having a fun time, and not trying to relax and have fun, smile and laugh, that is something that I try to set the example for others to be. Trying to find the perfect balance between laughing and being serious and doing your job is the perfect place to be. That's the example I try to set.
Okay, yeah. Another way of being an example is to lead by example. I've had 2 guilds in my Final Fantasy XIV game. One was called Maker's Chosen, and the other was Phoenix Tale. And people would they'd come to me for help. They had a question, or even about life stuff. They'd just be like, hey, Neon, hey, what do you think about this or that? And by helping people, I grew those relationships, and they followed me in suit. They would come to me whenever they had a problem. You know, they would be like, "Hey, you should join us in fighting this boss or doing this and that." And it just me helping them with problems, personal problems and in-game problems. It kind of made this camaraderie, and they would just follow me. Even if I did something crazy, they'd follow me. And it's one of the best times of my life is when I was leading the guilds and whatnot. Zach, is there any time you've led by example?
Yeah, I think there are plenty of times where I've led by example. I mean, it all kind of goes back to work, you know? Like I spend a lot of time at work these days. And leading by example there with coworkers is really an easy example to give. But I think being a good leader and the examples that you set has a lot to do with your attitude towards people, respecting others, asking questions and listening to their answers. So being an example is just encompassing being a leader and just breaking it down and doing all of those steps individually really well. So whether that's just like you said, where when you're leading a guild of people, you need to listen to what everybody needs and address them individually, right? So leading by example is something that I feel like I do frequently through my attitude and my actions at work, where some coworkers might not be in the best mood, and I work at the concierge desk up front at Alamo selling tickets. And when they come up, they're not in a good mood. I can make them laugh, and you know that'll brighten their day up. Or even the manager, you know, they'll come up being upset about something, and I'll help to calm them down or something. So being an example of, you know, just trying to calm people down.
Yeah.
You're just trying to make them have a good time.
Yeah, and plus it encourages them to do the same to others as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then it just spreads the light.
Right.
Yeah. So last week we talked about setting standards and expectations, and earlier I said that being an example is about being an example for those standards, so that way you can expect the same in other people and encourage it. So Zach, what are some standards and expectations you have of yourself?
So some standards that I have for myself is respecting others, is basic human decency for everybody. Kind of off the bat, you know, you come to someone with a basic level of respect just because they're a person who's in front of you and they are entitled to that respect just off the bat. The benefit of the doubt, there's a classic question of, do you believe that humans are born evil or are they born good? You know, and I feel like most people, people are born good, but when you become an adult, you've earned the station of neutral, and everybody should be treated as if they have the opportunity to do both, so that you don't get taken advantage of, and so that you're still being a good person to them, which includes being nice. And so I feel like some standards are treating everybody with that basic level of respect is one of my most important standards.
Yeah, I get that. That's really good. Yeah. And it's good to, you know, share, and maybe we can all benefit from things that have been shared with standards and expectations.
Right.
Yeah. An example, everything you do is an impression, and that is an example of what others see you as. A good impression to me is, you know, a kind person, following my standards and expectations. Just someone who seems to care. Like, even if they're doing things I completely disagree with, as long as I can see that they give a dang or they care about doing the right thing, they may struggle with it, but as long as they're trying, I'm okay with it. So, leaving a good impression is the best way to be an example. You want to always leave others with a good impression so they think highly of you, and that way you can move forward. And they may be like, hey, that guy did something cool. I like that. I want to be like that. And then, boom, your standards have been spread, right? So, Zach, what do you think a good impression is?
I think a good impression kind of comes back off the standards discussion of, you know, the impression of treating people as equals is the most important first step. And if you've done that, I think you've left a good impression. Of course, you're not going to agree with everybody. You're not going to get along with everyone, and that's okay. You know, not everybody's meant to be best friends in the world, and that's fine. You're allowed to disagree, but disagreeing respectfully, I feel like, is the most important thing that you can do when meeting somebody new. Like, just because you disagree, if you both don't like the current president, that's fine. You're allowed to not like the current president. Like, it's about disagreeing respectfully and treating people with that level of decency and respect. That is what, to me, leaves a good impression. At least that leaves a good impression with me.
Yeah. I mean, you can like the current president or not. It's, personal preference. But as long as, like, if you have a discussion about that, you're not leaving like, I hate this person because of this viewpoint. That's kind of closed-minded. And that goes back to last week where I talked about one of my standards and expectations is open-minded. And I think that's what you're getting at too. Is, as long as you're open-minded about interacting with new people, and you're not threatening in any way. It's a good impression. It's like, that was a nice person I just met. Yeah.
It's all about the disagreeing respectfully. That's the main takeaway from that.
Yeah, and being open to new ideas and perspectives as well. Yeah. Sometimes the impression you give isn't what you intended. For example, one time someone walked up and was like, how dare you wear orange all the time? What do you think you're doing? That's not normal. You're weird. And I calmly explained to them, hey, I wear orange because it's what I like to wear and it gives me the strength to be myself every day. And, if someone thinks that, hey, maybe he's onto something and wants to be themselves, I explained the example I give. And they were like, oh, I thought it was just making a statement against the world and how it's bad and whatnot. I said, no, never. I would never call people out on being bad for no reason or any way, shape, or form. I'd love to hear their perspective and see on that. And, after that, they kind of left happily like, oh, okay, he's not a bad person trying to slander the world. He's just being himself, and that's awesome. So, Zack, is there any time you gave the wrong impression? How did you deal with it?
Sure, I feel like sometimes when you're expressing your opinion to other people, you can come across the wrong way. You can, because it's very important to the tone that you use, the words that you select when you're talking to somebody about something, no matter what it is. Really, it's important to realize the tone that you're setting or the impression that you're making on somebody with the words that you use. I feel, for example, I have, I even with you specifically, I've commented with you about these videos and about how I feel like you could improve certain aspects of the video, and I've come across the wrong way in more of an insulting tone than I meant it to be, where I meant it to be, constructive criticism, just advice on how to improve a video, and it came across as me insulting you, which is not what I intended at all, of course. Yeah. And the best way to overcome that or to fix that is to talk about it. Exactly. It's communication. Like when we first started the discussion about that, it was through text. And text never leaves a good impression. Yeah. No matter what it is, it can leave the wrong impression, good or bad, than what you intended. And so the best thing to do is we talked in person. We talked over a voice chat. We called each other. We talked it out.
Into it for more perspectives.
Brought friends into it. Yeah. Other perspectives are always important, no matter what the topic is. And so we talked about it in person. I explained my point of view to you, and we discovered it's okay to disagree about certain things, and we came to some agreements on other things, and that just fixed it all in the end. And it all comes back to, in my opinion, disagreeing respectfully and understanding other people's opinions and point of view, listening to them. Yeah. That's what it all comes down to. And in the end, I mean, we're best friends. We're never going to actually, we're not going to, we fight about a lot, but that's fun. We enjoy discussions and arguments and fights and stuff like that. So this is always the way that we fix it, is we just talk it out. Communication is key.
Like this most recent one was about kind of like some misconceptions about my message and whatnot. And what it came down to is I believe everyone's inherently good until proven otherwise. And you believe the whole neutral and your actions decide who you are. Right. Which they're kind of similar, but they're also completely different ways of looking at it. So you took my message as something that it wasn't intended, whereas I meant it in a different way. Right. And because we both can see each other's perspectives, we're good.
Well, and that's kind of the great
clarified
thing about your message too, is that it's up for interpretation.
Yeah.
Is that it's not a set in stone thing. It's you take the words that you're saying and you interpret them and you fit them into what your current life and your experiences are.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to mold them into what you think is best for you to do in that, based on your experiences and your words.
Yeah.
So and that's great that two different people can bring two different things from the same words, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, it's great that interpretation leaves everything open to possibilities, an endless amount. Hopefully positive, but sometimes there's always negative.
Right.
And the last thing I want to say is being an example is one of the best ways to shine bright, because by being an example, you encourage others to do the same. And by following your standards and expectations you've set for yourself, you are shining bright and embracing who you are. And next week, we're going to begin talking about loving yourself, and that will improve even better, the fire within and strengthening it. And obviously, if you're ever feeling down, like you're not really shining bright or you need to work on living the Phoenix tale. Rise up. Don't care as much and focus on how you can make yourself better and use that sense of betterness to rise up like a phoenix and live a Phoenix tale.
When I'm not feeling bright, I like to turn a lamp on.
That works too. But I'm talking about light from within. You can use light from without to kind of brighten your day. Well, yeah, you can turn that light on and shine it out. Shine the positive energy, exude it, be that example of a good person you want to be.
Of course.
Yeah, and that covers it. Just try your best to be an example and to shine bright. Be the lightning that rallies the thunder. Be the leader that people congregate behind. Want to be a better person just like that guy. Be that guy. Be the person, guy or girl. Be the person that leads the charge. The one that's up on the hill saying, go! And the people are just rallying behind them, doing the same thing. It's very important to be an example for who you want to be, so that way others are encouraged to be themselves or, follow in your positive energy.
I agree. I agree.
If you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more. You can always give us a thumbs up if you really like the video, and leave a comment in the comment section below. I would love to discuss being an example in further detail with you guys. And as always, shine bright and live a Phoenix tale.